Welcome into the College Caravan one last time. Scott Smith here on the road. We are heading south on I-75 back into Tampa from Gainesville, where today we got to spend the afternoon with Billy Napier and those Gators, coming off an 8-win season last year, which is the high water mark for this team the last since Billy Napier took over. Let me turn down my phone audio here. They, of course, came off a bowl win last year, so they end the season on 4 straight wins and a lot of excitement for the year ahead. Before we get into all the content we have for you today, if you are a Gator fan, you want to root your team on, you want to ask a question, whatever you want to do, hop into the chat. Feel free down below. If you are on Facebook Live or on YouTube Live, thanks for watching if you're on the Fox Local app as well. This has been a lot of fun. I mean, this is 5 days wrapping up, 5 stops along the way, covering all our major college football programs in the state, giving you a nice little taste of what's to come here in just a matter of weeks, days, hours. We are ready for it for sure. So we are on I-75. Here's a look outside the windshield of this here Caravan. As we are, there's a little exit for Ocala, Silver Springs, and let's see who's behind us. Get the reverse. Oh, you don't want that shot. Here we go. Got a couple of semi-tractor trailers behind us. We are rolling. So having a lot of fun on this Friday as we wrap up what has been a very busy week. A lot of great conversations along the way, and today it was a chance to catch up with Billy Napier. And I think that there is some optimism around this program, and justifiably so. This roster is stacked. If you look at it top to bottom, they have some really key playmakers that, if all goes well, and health is of course a factor, but if everybody is as they hope and that is fully healthy once the season begins, then this should be a dangerous team, make some waves here in the SEC this year. But a lot of that has to do with their starting quarterback, right? So DJ Lagway, number 2, coming into his sophomore season. He had a great last season when he got in there and was able to take over. We saw all the stuff that was advertised, right? So Gatorade National Player of the Year, and he could certainly do it all. And so much arm talent on this young man. Just turned 20, by the way, yesterday, so a belated happy birthday. But he has the tools around him as well. They brought in a receiver like J. Michael Sturdivant. We'll get into the receivers later, but man, they got some great pass catchers. Trey Wilson, Dallas Wilson, a freshman too. Running back Jaden Baugh, he's a guy that can do it all. Speed, power, can catch the ball out of the backfield. An experienced offensive line, so they have a lot of guys that can make plays in a defense that's rising as well. Napier says this fall campus felt a little bit different.
Yeah, I think we're a little more familiar with what comes with the challenge. You know, I think obviously our roster has settled in a little bit. You know, when we look around the team meeting room now, the majority of the kids we recruited, you know, so I think we know their families, we've sat in their homes, we've been to their schools, and I think that's helped culturally too. But in general, last year, I think you saw, you know, our kids just start to believe in the work. You know, I think we've been working extremely hard, and then all of a sudden, the football started to look the way it should look.
I'm curious, from the end of last year to where we are right now, what are the areas you think you've made the biggest strides?
Well, I think the staff's done a great job. You know, I think continuity in system's important. I think offense, defense, and in the kicking game, I think we've been very similar in our approach, and I think that's helped us develop players. So everyone's much more familiar with how we operate. And then I think in general, just a player expectation. You know, I think we have good veteran leadership. They know what we expect of them, and I think they're doing a good job of being a good example and holding the other players accountable.
So here's a look at some of those offensive numbers from the 2024 season. And DJ Lagway, 115 completions on 192 attempts, just under 2,000 yards passing. And, you know, he has the touch on the deep ball too, which we'll get into a little bit later. But some rare arm talent, as we've touched on already. So, offensively, when they are putting out last year, if they put out 330 yards or more of total offense, they were actually 8-1 in those games. So getting that offense cooking and incorporating some of the new talent they have in the receiving core is going to be one of the major keys for this team. And some of these guys are going to be freshmen too. We mentioned Dallas Wilson, a stud 5-star recruit, and he and Trey Wilson, who is another one of those receivers that we've seen already, but he is poised to become a star in college football. Both those guys kind of day-to-day, week-to-week as they get ready for the season ahead. But then they have a guy that Billy Napier has been very high on, and that is Vernell Brown III. Says that he's had an exceptional camp and just as a freshman has come in here. So there's some young guys, and the way they've kind of built this roster is a little bit different. As we've seen the other colleges around the state, many of them have dipped into the transfer portal and they've filled the holes that they feel like they have in their roster. The Gators didn't do so much of that this last year. They have kind of been very selective in the transfer portal, and they've been able to retain guys. So a lot of that goes back to recruiting and recruiting well. They bring in these blue chip talents, and they're able to develop them, and it just takes a little bit more time. And so Billy feels like at this point, year number 4 for him, that they're starting to see some of the fruit of that. Again, we've talked about the receiving core, but even the offensive line, there's consistency across the offensive line. Jake Slaughter, their center. I mean, this guy's going to be a top pick in the NFL draft, super talented. So that, along with some of the sensational skill at the skill position, Billy Napier feels like they're going to be a really good team. A lot of that comes down to, again, the health of DJ Lagway. He's got that soft tissue calf injury. They have called it modified, so he's kind of on a modified schedule. He's on track, he says. But take a listen to Coach Napier today when I asked about the health of DJ Lagway.
DJ's doing great. I think he's really improved. I've been impressed. He's went to work on his fundamentals. I think he's cleaned his footwork up. I think his delivery is much more efficient. And the ball is really jumping out of his hand right now. We got to get the soft tissue calf thing calmed down a little bit, but in general, he's on schedule. And yeah, I'm excited. He has had his best week of camp, and we'll see where we're at next week.
As a former quarterback, I'm sure you can appreciate just his touch on the deep ball and how unique that is. When you talk about coaching quarterbacks and having played the position yourself, just how unique is that particular skill set that DJ has?
Yeah, I think it's one of the things that stands out to me. In general, since he's gotten here, I think he's had a knack for placing the ball down the field. And the deep ball accuracy is something I think comes naturally to him. But look, the kid has continued to evolve. He's consumed with improvement. Some of these things he knows he has talent, he has ability, but he's really focused on getting better. I think he's done a great job as a leader. I think he's improved his ability to communicate on the field. And I think in general, his football intelligence, he's taken a good step forward here in year 2.
Yeah. How was your deep ball accuracy at Furman?
That wasn't in the playbook. I joke around like I don't have that club in my bag. That's what I say all the time.
We talk about how much pressure college athletes, especially nowadays, are under. And, with a guy of DJ's status and how he was recruited, how have you seen him handle the pressures that kind of come along with being the starting quarterback here at Florida?
Yeah, I think he's done a good job of being process-oriented. I think although he's experienced some early success, I think he realizes there's a lot more left to accomplish. And I think he's on a mission to get the team in order and wants to accomplish some special things as a team. So, yeah, there's more left to prove. We've got plenty of work to do right in front of us. I think he's consumed with that. So I think that's really important, that we separate the outside expectation with the internal expectations. What do our teammates expect from us, and our ability to kind of set that standard every day, in particular at quarterback. I think that's really important.
So here's a look at the offense and how it went with Lagway last season. 66th nationally, 69th passing. This is a team that's going to be dictated on the zone read and, in the run game, and then, taking taking smart, deep strikes when the moment strikes. And, DJ Lagway is a guy that can do that. In fact, he's number 3 in terms of deep ball in all starting quarterbacks across college football. And that a 95.6 deep passer rating. So impressive stats, young quarterback. And as coach said, he's developing a more cerebral part of his game. And so even though being slowed by some of these nagging offseason injuries is not ideal, you'd like to have every snap that you possibly could out there. I think that coach feels like he's still getting better, that he's working on other areas of his game, whether that's footwork or arm velocity, and he's throwing the ball as hard as he's ever seen him throw. So there are a lot of positive takeaways from this offseason with Lagway. And again, on schedule, and if he hits the ground running week 1, and we don't ever talk about the history of Lagway's injuries, then this could be a really imposing team in the SEC this year. But it's going to come down to what number 2 can do, and those weapons around him. Again, he's got plenty of those. We talk about the receiving core too. And though they did not dip into the transfer portal much, one of the guys that they did get is a receiver out of UCLA, and J. Michael Sturdivant had a good camp and showing some promising signs. The receiving core as a whole, we had a chance to catch up with Aiden Mizell today. He is an Orlando guy out of Boone High School, and there is like a competition, kind of a friendly competition amongst this group, and driving each other, pushing each other to get better, and that's of course what you want to see, right? That's what these fall camp practices and spring practices should be doing, is that it's iron sharpening iron, and that's what they're doing out there on the field. We've seen transfers come in before and have big seasons and make a name for themselves, guys like DK and Badger, and so I think that Sturdivant is maybe the next in line in that regard, but don't be surprised if you see some of these young receivers get in there and really make a splash this season. Again, here's part of our interview with Aiden Mizell, who's coming off a decent freshman season himself and looking to take the next step as a sophomore with the Gators.
Everyone just pushing to be the best selves and pushing each other to be everyone's best. I feel like everything's real competitive, but at the same time, there's no animosity in the group. Like, we're all just there to make each other better and be the best we can be.
I know DJ is one of the best deep ball throwers in college football.
Yeah.
Who's the best deep ball receiver on this team?
I feel like we have a lot of deep threats on this team. I would be lying if I said I didn't like me, but they would be lying if they would say they didn't like themselves either. So I feel like we have a lot of guys that can do a lot of things, and I feel like especially catch deep balls. So I like the whole group.
Yeah, they are certainly talented. So I would say in offensively, look for some of these receivers in blue and orange to take a big step this year. And I think if that offense can get cooking on the defensive side of the ball, they have guys that can get after the quarterback. When you talk about Caleb Banks, Tyreek Sapp on the back end, you got Jordan Castell. They have playmakers on the defensive side of the ball as well. In fact, they were fourth last year in sacks in the SEC and 14th nationally with 40 sacks. So I think that they take another step on that side of the ball as well. But back to the receivers real quick, because for our Tampa Bay audience, there's some guys that were kind of local stars that are now in the swamp, and we talk about Dallas Wilson, and he is a guy that started Tampa Bay Tech. Of course, Trey Wilson, he was a Gator product, and both of these guys are going to factor in big in this offense. Take a listen.
2 of the best in the country, in my opinion, and both are very different type of players. But yeah, we get both of those guys can change the game. They're both difficult matchups, one in the slot, one outside. But yeah, both good kids with great attitudes, and I've seen them improve since they've gotten here. And both are in position to have breakout years and be a major difference maker for our team.
So as we kind of have gone through some of the positions and the strengths of the offense and the defense, really for this team, it's going to come down to how well they play within SEC competition, right? So last year we saw something kind of change with this team about midway through, and in talking to Aiden he said it was really right around the bye week that they really started. It's something started to click with this team, and they carried that on as they ended the season with 4 straight wins, including that bowl victory. So that's the thing as you look ahead to this season, because for as imposing as last year's schedule was, and in the preseason we were saying this is the hardest schedule in all of college football. This is one of the toughest as well. That's how the SEC is, right? Each and every year, you're going to have just a gauntlet to go through. So can the talent level match the competition that they're going up against? I think that last year, beating teams like LSU, beating teams like Ole Miss, that certainly gives a little bit of wind in your sail. You're not going to be, feeling like you step on the field and you're outmatched by the competition. But here is head coach Billy Napier talking about just that, how they approach this season and the daunting schedule that is the SEC.
Yeah, I think we don't feel outmanned. I think our players feel as if they can compete with anybody. Now, reality is you have to prepare a certain way during the week, and when given that opportunity and we put the ball down and go play, we have to go execute. So you got to go earn it in this league. And really our non-conference play with Miami and Florida State, South Florida, we have that's what makes our schedule the most challenging, is those 3 really good teams that are non-conference. So, look, it's right there in front of us. We're going to have to go earn it. To get where we want to go, we're going to have to beat some of the best teams in the country. And I think when you come to Florida, that's what you sign up for.
We're looking forward to watching it. Coach, thanks for carving some time out. Appreciate it.
So here is what they are up against this season, and it all kicks off 2 weeks from tomorrow against Long Island, an FCS opponent, at Ben Hill Griffin Stadium. Then USF comes to town. Again, those Bulls going to be feisty in American Conference play this year, and I think they're up for the challenge. They're certainly not going to back down. They have played some big-time opponents the last couple of years in non-con play in Alabama and Miami last year, so that should be a fun little matchup in the Swamp. And then you step right into SEC play with a visit to LSU. So here we go. And LSU is supposed to be a very good team this year. Then you visit Miami, and that is a team that is in the preseason top 10. We've talked about their talent. We visited with them on Tuesday. Then number 1 team in the preseason rankings, and that would be Arch Manning-led Texas Longhorns. That, fortunately for the Gators, that's going to be a home game. Then you hit College Station with your 6th game of the year. Then Mississippi State, and here we go. We got Georgia. We got at Kentucky, at Ole Miss, and then you end the season at home. You got games against Tennessee and Florida State to wrap things up. So the schedule is not a nice one. It's not going to be a cakewalk for sure. It's going to be a test each and every week, and I think this team is ready for it. I think the talent is, much to what Coach was saying, the talent is now on par with the type of talent they're going to be going up against week in and week out in the Southeastern Conference. This was a critical week for this team. They're trying to fine-tune some of the details and get ready and get ready for game action. They had a little scrimmage this last weekend where they saw some really good things. Chemistry is one of the areas that Coach says it continues to get better and better, and that's a good thing because you're going to need that with a long slate ahead. It has been a long run for us as we've done this College Caravan. It's been a lot of fun. We have traveled, I believe, over 1,300 miles along the way. I'm told that we've talked to 17 people, and we've hit at least 4 drive-throughs, but I believe that it's probably more than that. Give or take 4 or 5. We just don't want you to think poorly of us because of how many drive-throughs we've hit. And we've had a lot of fun along the way. Great conversations from UCF down in Miami to USF to Florida State, and then we wrap things up here in Gatesville. So each and every year we try to give you just a taste of what the college football season has in store. I know there's some diehard fans out there. No matter what your team is, I hope you've enjoyed some of the coverage along the way. I want to give thanks to folks that have helped make this possible. The guy to my left, John Wright, our chief photographer, he has navigated the vehicle that we are in right now, and we've been bringing you these live streams every day along the way. So he's, how many years have you been doing this now?
20?
20 years. Not 20 years of the Caravan. but 20 years in the business, and now this is 4th year doing the College Caravan. And then Brian King, our executive sports producer. We could not get it done without these guys. Back in house, we've had a lot of help along the way with various producers. And today in the box, our director, Chris Griffin, who's also the director of the No Off Days podcast, which will be coming back to you next week, live and in demand. But we are we've had a lot of fun along the way. We are still about 74 miles out from Tampa. Happy to be back in our own beds this week, but it's been fun. It's been fun to hit up these college campuses and chat with the coaches along the way. Here's a view from out the dash of our College Caravan, and a view from behind as we leave the road behind us. Oh, we don't want that shot. There it is. We are driving the speed limit, ladies and gentlemen. I can guarantee you that. Thank you so much for watching the College Caravan, joining us along the way and being a part of these fun live streams. We've had a blast. We hope you have had too. Thanks for watching the College Caravan 2025.